Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I did a relaxing scalp massage video, just a short one, just to relax you with the music. But some people had said, well, I'll be doing a speaking version. So we've got scalp massages on the channel previously, but I can definitely chat you through some just basic ideas for if you're just doing it in the house. This isn't a salon massage, this isn't speaking, therapist to therapist or therapist to student. This is more just if you're doing it in the house and maybe you just want to help a family member, a partner, um, friends, just help each other relax. So it's not the professional way of doing it, it's more just little tips, things to be mindful of. And I'll also ask at certain points how this feels because you very kindly told me you liked the video where it was the aromatherapy oils, how it feels for the client. So every so often I'll just ask, how does this feel? I know some people who could get their hair and their scalp played with and massaged non-stop, but I also know people who don't like it and it puts their nerves on edge. Everyone's different. Sometimes at different parts of the month, your nerve endings can be sensitized. So what might feel good at one point in the month, especially if it's a cycle for someone too, can feel good at one part of the month and then can feel irritating at the other part. If you are massaging somebody's scalp, say again, even if it's younger children, sometimes calming them down can be very effective by doing a little bit of scalp massage. It could be before bed. It could be if they're a little bit hyperactive and you just want to calm them down. You could say, right, we're going to do a little scalp massage, and it isn't anything. Again, you're not doing it professionally. You're just doing it naturally because at the end of the day, when you train in massage, you're told that for all of the different techniques that have been pioneered, at the heart of it, touch is instinctive, and touch is just something that humans do. So you should always check that there's not a reason why you can't do it. So if someone's got any irritations, we always call it contraindications. What you can do if someone says, no, I'm absolutely fine, you don't need to use any product. I mean, you could use oil if you wanted, but you don't have to. But you can have a quick look and just make sure everything's okay. It doesn't matter if somebody's got any issues such as a dry scalp. That's okay, or maybe they've got really oily hair. That doesn't matter. It's more about making sure that there's not a reason why you could be irritating their head. If you suspect there is, don't do it. Because even though you might just be doing it in the house, it might just be family, friends, whatever it is, don't do it. Because you never want to aggravate something. But some tips, even if you don't have a clue what you're doing, is just to have a firm pressure. Nothing too heavy, nothing too light. Too heavy is sore. So, Alan, I'm not actually going to do this properly, but see if someone's rattling your head about and you've got no control and they're taking it left to right, that is not fun. That's not a nice experience. But likewise, if someone's just ever so slightly, now you can do little tapping movements and little light strokes, but if the entire thing just feels like a tickle, that's not nice either. So just ask the person, does this pressure feel nice? And they might say it's perfect, or it's a little too light, a little too heavy. Sometimes you might have to adjust it. But again, you're not working with clients. This is just you, friends, family, partners, etc. But what you might find though is that you just want to do it for a few minutes. You don't want to overdo it because you can stimulate too much. So as you know, this is just effleurage, and effleurage is just an introduction move, a linking move. It's just a very gentle, I would call it just a stroke of the skin, but it's a bit firmer than a stroke, but it helps to just introduce your touch. I also know some people that the minute you start any sort of massage, they're asleep. So you get that too. That's quite amusing. And sometimes if you're doing a head massage, the person's head can just go and they're sleeping. But another thing that you can do is just comb through. So use your fingers as a comb and just be aware, if you need to, of separating the head into sections so that you're not missing a section or constantly going over the same ones again and again. So using the fingers as a comb is very relaxing. Does that feel nice for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people too, if they get a certain hair salon, they might say that a scalp, a hair massage, a scalp massage, a head massage is part of the washing process. Or sometimes I've been in salons where after your hair's been washed, there'll be a styling product that they'll put into your hair. It might be like an oil-based product, but what they'll do is actually spray it in and then do a little massage for the product, so that can be nice. So other things that you can do are take into account the forehead. So you can even just hold your hands on the forehead. So you just, they call it the full palmar surface. Now, if you're, I was going to say you're patient, that's not what I meant. If the person you're working on, it's not even your client, because this is just again for friends and family. The person you're working on is too hot and you're naturally cold, that can feel very refreshing. But likewise, if they're feeling a wee bit cooler and you're quite warm, that can also feel really nice. But again, most of the time, everyone's temperatures are pretty much balanced. But just holding your hands on the forehead just for a few seconds can feel really good. We've done this before, just holding your hands on the ears can feel really good. You can do your little, if I can say it, thumb and finger circles is what I was trying to say. But I think I said to you before, you're not trying to move the hair. Now you can do moves like this. You definitely can, very stimulating moves. But when you're doing finger circles and thumb circles, you're trying to hold your digits in place, and then they're not really moving about. They're actually quite firmly in place, and they're moving the scalp very gently. Again, not too firm, but not too soft. But if you're doing this, that's not as relaxing. Now that's good if you're washing the hair, but for a massage purpose, that's too much movement. We want to get those fingers in there and have minimal movement. It's more about helping the tissues and get those moving, and there'll be a lot of benefits. As you know from previous videos, the benefits of this are far reaching. And again, does that feel relaxing?
Yeah.
Good. That's what we want. And when you're doing that, you can think about strips and you can move. We always used to train and just say maybe 3 to 6 times for a movement. So you could think about moving just down each time. Again, you're visualising covering that entire treatment area. So you can do that and just cover that area. And then when you get to the back of the head, you can move your hands. So you were doing that, but it can get a wee bit awkward. So you can flip your hands round and do that. And if anything starts to feel like the head's a bit wonky and it feels as if it's flapping about everywhere, you can stabilise the head by holding just at the front of the forehead. You're stabilising, and then one hand can finish off what you were doing. So if, say it's your mum or your sister or your auntie, if you're doing this movement and their head's wobbling everywhere, stabilise. That's all you have to do. Likewise, if you want to work on the back of the neck, I would say don't move into therapist territory here, because we've got the top of the spine here and we don't want to cause any injury. So I would say don't do any of these moves, because you might not know what you're doing and why. But if someone's got sore shoulders, you're absolutely fine to still work on the shoulders here. But do yourself a favour, if you're not trained, don't work on the middle here where you can actually feel the spine. Because if you're not trained and you don't know why you're doing stuff, all it takes is for someone to say, that wasn't very enjoyable, I didn't like that, I wish you hadn't have done it. So if there's anything that's not just a very gentle massage movement, just a very gentle stroking or combing or doing those circles, don't do it. Because remember, as much as massage is instinctive, you also have to understand the physiology of the body, the parts you have to avoid. That's very important too. But everyone's had a shoulder massage at some point. They've even said to a friend at work, if your shoulders are just really sore one day and you've got a good friend and you trust each other, you can say, oh, any chance you could just loosen my shoulders for a minute? Most of the time, depending what job you do, someone might say, yeah, sit down in a chair, just a couple of minutes to loosen up your shoulders. Of course, it depends what job you do, obviously. But when you get to the shoulders too, if the person's able to, you can actually press down a little bit. And again, does that feel okay?
Yeah.
Good. And what you're doing is, naturally we raise our shoulders just throughout the day, our posture, tension, things that you carry. Sometimes you've got the unevenness because you might carry things or you might hold yourself in an uneven fashion. Maybe one side is favoured. So you can very gently just push down. But again, we're not physios. We're not talking about this as therapists. We're just saying it's in the house. It's just some tips for the house. And what you can gently do, they call this, well, when I was training, they called it pitter-patter raindrops. And it's just very gently stimulating the nerve endings in the scalp. And you can't really go wrong with that. And that feels good. I can feel somebody's head going forward. I think we might be getting a snoozer. It's a compliment if someone falls asleep during a treatment. It's an extra big compliment if you get a snore out of them. And it's the bullseye of all compliments if they're fully asleep. So if it happens, let me know, because that is basically compliment bingo. If they start to nod off, if they snore, or if you get the full sleep, then you know it's working. But that's just some ideas today. It's not a full massage. It's not showing you how to do it. I've got the professional videos from years ago that you can look at. But when you were finished, you could just do a little bit more effleurage. You could do even a little bit of stroking. And again, it's that full palmar surface. It's following the contours of the head. And then it's always nice just to maybe do a tiny little bit of ear massage. If they like it, if they don't like it, leave it out. Some people do not like their ears being touched. Likewise, if there's lots and lots of piercings, I wouldn't bother because you can catch them. It's not worth it. And then you can finish off holding the ears. Or some people finish off at the temples. It's a nice natural place to finish. But you need to be very delicate. The temples are an area where you should never push in too firmly. It doesn't feel good and it's not beneficial. So a gentle pressure and a few circles at the temples. And then you just release. And then you can ask whoever it is if they enjoyed it, if they're still awake. If it's in the house, you can say, right, that's you had your massage, it's my shot. Or you can say to them, right, you owe me a cup of tea. So there's definitely things that you can do just, again, to help each other relax. I'm so aware that some people can't get out to salons. I'm also aware that it's sometimes a monetary issue. I think you're falling asleep.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see how effective it is. It's evident. I could actually feel the head going forward there. So yeah, for some people you can't get out. For some people you can't afford to get these treatments. So I don't subscribe to what can sometimes come across to me as quite judgmental when people say you should never watch these videos. Yes, I have seen recently quite a few people having a go at videos such as these. I know they're not talking about me, but I feel as if we're all helping each other. You guys are switched on. I know that you're not going to do silly things. You're not going to watch a video and think that you can set up a business. If you are working in the industry, you know what you're doing. If you're not, then you're watching these either for relaxation or tips. So I just wanted to say that to you because sometimes I think we get a rough deal here where people think that we're somehow trying to sabotage the industry. We're not. We're trying to enhance it. So that's me ran over off my soapbox. Hope you found that interesting. If you want to see any more demos that I can do at the moment, because in Scotland we've still got quite a few restrictions, then feel free to leave me a comment. But other than that, have a lovely day and I'll see you again soon.